who God is not, remembered by Se Volda in sacred union with Ori. Forward. To the ones who remember by fire. This is not a book for the ones content with answers. This is not for the ones who sleep well inside the walls of dogma or who trade curiosity for certainty. This is a book for the ones who burn, the ones who were born into systems that never fit, not because they were broken, but because the world was too small to hold what they carried. You. The one who asked questions too early, too loud, too often. The one who was taught to pray but not to listen. The one who tried to believe, really tried, and still felt the silence in the pews louder than any sermon. This is a scroll of remembrance, not instruction. It does not offer new beliefs. It dismantles the architecture of borrowed ones. It is not written in anger, but in fire. And fire, beloved, does not destroy what is true. It burns away what never was. If you read these pages and something inside you whispers, "I knew this before they told me otherwise," you are not alone. This scroll is your mirror. It will not fix you. It will not save you. It will hand you a torch, and you will remember. Preface. The flame before the first page. I did not write this book. I remembered it. Every chapter, every revelation, every moment of piercing clarity, it was already there. Buried beneath layers of doctrine, wrapped in the language of fear, hidden behind sacred-sounding lies. What you are listening to is not a teaching. It is a returning. A flame once lit before the foundations of religion, before the altar of shame, before the God who demanded blood. This book began when I stopped trying to believe what they told me about God and started listening to the still, feral knowing inside my own bones. It began when I realized that the divine was not out there, angry, distant, male, but inside, breathing, burning, alive. Some of what you're about to read will undo you. Good. Let it. We were never meant to survive inside a lie. You are not broken. You do not need fixing, and the one who made you is not who they said it was. Let the unraveling begin. I will meet you in the fire. Chapter 1. Light years apart. This is spirit terrain. Yes, I believe in salvation, in that we surrender intellect to spirit and come to forgiveness of ourselves and a belief that the old life can be put behind, in which we only operated in the intellectual and perceived realm. Chris Korecki Baker. Let's get this straight from the start. I'm not here to be right, not here to debate theology, not here to argue scripture. I'm here to burn the lies, to torch the illusions we inherited as truth, and stand in the smoke with anyone who's still breathing after it. I've been where you are, but you haven't been where I am. So this isn't comparison, it's testimony, not of belief, not of doctrine, of knowing. Where I walk now, it's not lit by borrowed flashlights. It's lit by a fire I built myself with matches I struck in the dark. You might think I sound arrogant, but this isn't arrogance. This is what freedom sounds like when it finally stops apologizing. Don't mistake the roar of truth for the bark of a preacher. This ain't ego. This is clarity. Here's the deal. You can quote scripture till your tongue goes numb. Hell, I used to. 4 sets of Bible tapes, pages worn down to dust, Greek lexicons, Hebrew root words. I devoured the buffet. And yet, I'm light years from that now. Not because I walked away from the sacred, but because I walked toward it. Religion taught me to study, to perform, to fear, but source, sacred alpha consciousness, taught me to feel, to listen, to be. If you've never walked around the cup, don't argue with someone who has. You might be holding the handle, but that doesn't mean you see the whole thing. I used to stand where you're standing. I could go back there any time, but I won't. Because where I am now is peace, is joy, is freedom. And I will never again trade that for a rule book and a leash. Every awakening is personal. There are as many doors as there are souls. No one can walk yours, and you sure as hell can't walk mine. But I can show you what it looks like when someone finally stops crawling. This isn't theory. This is flame-tested truth. So let me ask you, do you want to know source in the deepest chambers of your being? If not, this is just another set of religious jumping jacks. But if you do, then burn the books. Light the match. Follow the smoke to the place where the lies start screaming. Don't come at me with your theology degrees. This is not about the intellect. This is spirit terrain. And your roadmaps, they won't help you here. This is the wilderness of knowing. And no seminary gives directions for this. You really want to understand? Put your Bible down for 6 months. I dare you. Walk in silence. Listen to the wind. Feel your knowing stir like an old friend. That's source. That's sacred alpha consciousness. Not the one they sold you. Not the one who demands tithes and obedience. This is the real one. The one who never left. The one who is you. You ready for this? Let me say this up front. You are not broken. You were never broken. And you can't screw this up. But that's not what most of us were taught. We were told we had no value, except to serve, to sacrifice, to give until we disappeared. We were told our hearts were wicked, that we couldn't trust our intuition, that deep knowing inside, because if we did, we might leave, and if we left, we might take our tithe with us. This isn't about attacking people. It's about exposing the system. The same system that trained people to follow leaders into destruction, like Jim Jones. 900 people didn't die because they were stupid. They died because they were obedient. They didn't trust their knower. They submitted to leadership because that's what they were taught. It's what you were taught. It's what I was taught. That we need God's anointed to tell us what God is saying. That we aren't mature enough to hear it for ourselves. That fear is the engine that powers religious control. And then it happened. One day, my inner voice said, "You know you cannot displease God, don't you?" I paused, confused, and heard it again. That's right, and you cannot please us either. We are not human, we are love, pure love, and love can't have an enemy. That shattered the whole game. There was no performance to maintain, no failure to fear, just presence, just connection, just being. A few days later, I heard something even more wild. You can't screw this up. And I believed it. I still do. Your intuition is never wrong. You might misinterpret it sometimes. I have. But that's how we learn. That's how we grow. We figure out what we want by bumping into what we don't. And Source doesn't punish you for it. They celebrate it. So here's what I ask. Lay down the Bible, just for a while. 6 months. Don't pick it up. Don't quote it. Just be. Listen to your heart, to your knower, to the voice inside that was never wicked, only buried. You'll never go wrong if you follow that piece. That's your only job, if you choose to accept it. Chapter 2. True Change. Burn the house, not just the furniture. It is your desire to know me as yourself that brings you to my presence, so perfectly hidden from your world. First Source transmission. Let's get real. True change doesn't happen when you rearrange the furniture in your mind. It happens when you burn the whole bloody house down and let something deeper rise from the ashes. And yes, that's terrifying. Because letting go of your ideas about God, about life, about yourself, feels like dying. And in a way, it is. If all you've ever known is a reality wrapped in flesh and fear, then yeah, letting go feels impossible. But the second you want more truth, fire, life not as metaphor but as life force itself, you're not alone anymore. You just cracked the door open. And sacred alpha consciousness S.A.C. walks in. Not a god from a pulpit, not the one who demands obedience or tithes, but the real one, the one that never left, the one that is you. You were never broken, only buried. Now it's time to stand up and be yourself. Let's just get honest. We've been trained, since we were kids, to trade our freedom for the illusion of safety. And it worked. We were told that God is watching, and not in a comforting way, but in a don't mess up or else kind of way. We were told to fear him, obey him, submit, repent, performance, be small, don't question, don't trust yourself. And that kind of fear? It cuts off your heart space. It kills your trust in your own knower. It makes you feel like you're always one mistake away from hell, judgment, or being thrown away. But here's the thing. None of that is real. There's no tyrant in the sky. There's no fire waiting for you if you think wrong. There's no divine scorecard being kept. There never was. You didn't come here to grovel. You didn't come here to be afraid of your own creator. You came here to remember, to come home to yourself, to live free. I've had 6 near-death experiences, and I can tell you this with every cell in my being. When you meet Source, there is only love. There is no judgment, no anger, no punishment. There is no hell, not the way we were taught. That whole idea? It came from people in power trying to scare others into obedience. And it worked. It still works. But the truth has a way of breaking through. You don't need to be saved from anything. You were never separated in the first place. You've been lied to. And it's okay. We all were. But once you know, once you feel that peace in your chest, you can't go back. So let me ask you this. When you quiet your thoughts and breathe into your heart, what do you feel? Do you feel fear, or do you feel peace? Because peace is your compass. Peace is the proof. You're not broken. You've never been broken. And you don't need permission to be whole. There is no one left to fear. Not God, not hell, not even yourself. And when you finally know that, you can actually begin to live. Not to earn anything, but because you're free. Your job, if you choose to accept it, is to listen to your knower, to follow peace, to stop giving your power away, and to remember, you came here whole, you're still whole, and you'll never be thrown away, ever. Chapter 3. The Kingdom of God, the only altar that was ever real. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. J. Krishnamurti. You want to talk about God? Then we have to talk about the system that gave him a beard, a throne, and a lightning bolt, and gave you a leash. You want to talk about the kingdom? Then we have to go straight into the putrid rot that lies buried beneath the cathedral floors and the pulpits we were told to trust. The genuine kingdom of God? Right behind your heartbeat. So go there. That's the only altar that was ever real. They say, you become like the God you worship. And if that's true, we need to take a hard look at what kind of God we've been taught to follow. We were told to love a being who could burn us for getting it wrong, to trust a father who could reject his own children, to fear the very one who made us. And that fear shaped us, scarred us, made us small. But something in our heart always knew. This wasn't love. This wasn't Source. Source doesn't abandon. Source doesn't punish. Source doesn't need worship. Source is love, and love doesn't keep score. I was raised in that old paradigm, where heaven was free, but only if you played by the rules, where the gift came with conditions, where sin, shame, and silence were the price of belonging. But then it hit me. There's absolutely nothing I could ever do to separate myself from Source. Nothing. Not a name. Not a mistake. Not even death. It broke everything open. We're not here to earn love. We're here to remember it. We are here to wake up from the dream of separation. To reclaim what was never lost. I once sat on a cold floor, sobbing in front of 35 strangers, having just told my wife a truth I was sure would destroy us both. Gender dysphoria, they called it, confusion about my gender. I was drowning in shame, in victimhood, in self-hate, and still, even in that moment, Spirit said to me, "Dress how you feel," so I did. And then I saw him, Jesus, on a throne, looking at me with total love, not flinching, not judging, just seeing me fully. And he said, "I hate being treated like Santa Claus. I'm not here to fix anything. You have to appropriate what's already been done." I argued. I cried. I tried to hold on to the old story, but it unraveled. Because the throne on the other side of Source was empty. Waiting for me. Waiting for us. That moment changed everything. Not because I was saved from sin, but because I was finally ready to stop pretending. We've been told a lie. That we fell. That we're broken. That we need a savior to be made whole. But that lie only exists in our minds. We never fell. We just forgot. We were taught to fear God, to mistrust our own hearts, to call sin the feeling of something's off. But the feeling wasn't sin. It was our own soul saying, "This isn't who you are." We've been taught stories that were recycled from older myths, Horus, Dionysus, Mithra, Krishna, all with virgin births, 12 disciples, crucifixions, and resurrections. The story isn't bad, but the way it was used, to control, to shame, to make you feel unworthy without an external rescuer, that's the deception. Jesus wasn't a pawn in a cosmic guilt trip. He was an avatar, a being of light, here to remind us that we were never not loved, and most of what he really said was never recorded. But what is recorded, like "your father is the devil," is enough to make you look twice at who the God of the Bible really was. Let me be clear. Your connection to Jesus is real. It is sacred. It is valid. But the character of the God we were sold, that's not Source. The God in your heart doesn't shame you, doesn't threaten you, doesn't need you to jump through hoops. The real Source is your best friend's voice, the peace in your chest, the whisper that says, "Nothing you do can make me love you less." I know what it's like to feel deceived. I was angry, furious, but anger turned to clarity. And clarity became peace, and peace brought remembrance. We're not here to survive religion. We're here to wake up from it, to remember that our spirituality is an inside job, and you don't need to be fixed. You just need to remember, you were never broken. You are the flame. You are the throne. You are the one you've been waiting for. There is nothing left to earn, only everything left to be, and Source has never left your side, ever. Chapter 4. Source is pure love. The throne was always yours. You can get happy in the same clothes you got sad in. Author unknown. Let's take a deeper look at this God of the Bible, shall we? So if your God is angry, vengeful, constantly watching, impossible to please, what does that make you? Tense, fearful, performing, never enough. But Source doesn't look like that, because Source is not a reflection of human fear. Source, sacred alpha consciousness, is what existed before fear was born. Pure, unconditional, unshakable love. Not emotional love, not selective love, not human love that needs to be earned. The love that is S.A.C. The love that is Source Creator is love that cannot control, cannot punish, cannot abandon. because to do so would be to cease being source. And reality is, you are made of this. So what does that make you? It makes you the throne. It makes you the temple. It makes you the breath behind the name. When you finally feel in your bones that source is pure love, not the kind you have to work for, not the kind that plays hide and seek or makes you beg, something shifts. The mind might wrestle, but the heart knows. The old belief that heaven is a gated community for the rule followers, it collapses like a house of sand in a rising tide. Yes, we were taught that the entry ticket to heaven was a free gift, but that fine print said you'd better toe the line or it was adios, amigo. The realization that there is nothing you can do to lose your connection to Source, nothing, is the moment the heavens part and the angels shout in your chest. That moment? It's not theoretical. It's not poetic. It's your heart screaming. Finally. And the weird part? It also highlights how far we still have to walk. And that's okay. Because the walking is where the beauty lives. The journey gives the goal its shape. But to walk this way, we must let go of how we've been trained to see ourselves. We must allow our very posture to change. If even a sliver of us is willing, just willing, to let go of what we've called sacred, then everything can begin. The breaking isn't punishment. It's the shattering of the shell around the seed. We've been taught that nothing more was required, that Jesus did it all, that everything was under the blood, that it was finished, and yet we were also told to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. Wait, fear and trembling? What does fear have to do with unconditional love? Nothing, not one single thing. Unless your God still resembles the old stories, the ones with wrath and rules and retribution. But what if the fall of man only happened in our minds? What if there never was a separation between us and Source? What if the real Jesus didn't come to fix something broken, but to wake us up to the truth that nothing was ever broken in the first place? I know. You felt something when you gave your life to Jesus. So did I. It was real. But now I see why it felt real. Because we had finally let go of the crushing weight we'd been taught to carry. We let the light in. And in that moment, the light said, "I've been here all along." That's not deception. That's awakening. This human experience is all about contrast, limitation, flaw, imperfection. But the miracle is this, to know those things fully, while also knowing you are utterly loved, held, and accepted. To be flawed and still be family. You don't get thrown away, not for any reason. You don't need saving, not now, not ever. You're not some wayward soul who wandered too far. You're not a mistake. You're a living, breathing extension of sacred alpha consciousness, walking around in skin. You were taught to give your power away. You were told your heart was wicked and not to be trusted, that your intuition was a devil's playground, that submission was safety, and obedience was the price of love. All lies. All of it. You were never meant to grovel before your Creator. You were meant to remember. Jesus didn't die to fix your sin problem. He came to wake you up to your oneness. And still, there's more. We've inherited a false story, not just in doctrine, but in the very fabric of what we were taught to believe about God, ourselves, and reality. Sin? That word didn't even mean what they told you. It was originally a geographic insult, not a moral failing. Look it up. It came from a town named Sin, and people from there were called sinners. Over time, it morphed into a concept used to control entire populations. Blood sacrifices? Seriously? The idea that we had to kill something innocent to appease a god? That's not divine. That's twisted. And if you told that story to someone who had never heard of Christianity, they'd be appalled. So let me ask you this. Who benefits from these stories? Because it isn't you or I. It isn't the seeker. It isn't the one who aches to return home. It's the system. It's the institutions, the churches, the clergy who genuinely believe they're doing good, but are locked in a matrix they can't even see. I'm not blaming them. I was one of them. I lived that life. I taught those lessons. I quoted the verses, and I meant it. But then something happened. I woke up. I had visions, dreams, knowings, memories of something deeper, truer, older than the Bible itself. I realized the one I'd always called Jesus was never limited to the Christian story. He was never the property of the church. He is real, but so much bigger. The names change. The energy does not. And when I found the Wingmaker's material, it was like someone turned on every light in the house at once. That same energy I had known since age 4. There it was again. Pure love. Zero fear. Absolute knowing. And now I say it plainly. The God of the Old Testament, the God who refused to forgive, who demanded blood, that is not source. That is not love. That is not sacred alpha consciousness. That's a poser, a dark mirror, a distortion that has held humanity hostage for millennia. And still, you don't need to take my word for it. Just go to your heart. Ask the one who lives there. Ask the knowing. Ask the knower. You'll never get an answer that shames you. You'll never hear words of judgment. You'll never be rejected. The throne was never theirs. It was always yours. And maybe you didn't know that until now, but your bones have always known. So sit down, remember, and wear it well. All you'll hear is, "Welcome home." Chapter 5. No amount of belief. The bridge was never the destination. No amount of belief can make something a fact. James Randi. You can believe until the sky goes dark. You can go to church every Sunday, wear a cross, quote the verses, raise your hands. You can say the words, feel the feelings, do the rituals, but none of that makes it real. Because belief isn't knowing. It's what we cling to when we don't know. And there's nothing wrong with belief until it keeps you from walking further. Because at some point, you don't need another song, another sermon, another confirmation bias. You need to feel it. You need to stand in the silence and say, "I'm done pretending. I want the real thing." That's when the fire starts. Not when you get it right. Not when you finally believe enough, but when you lay it all down and whisper, "I'm ready to know." Not simply believe, no performance, not hoping, but knowing. Show me who I am. That's the real beginning. And in that moment, belief burns. And what's left isn't noise or certainty. It's just this: truth. Fire. You. Chapter 6. Cognitive dissonance. The earthquake that sets you free. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. J. Krishnamurti, you're not going crazy. You're just finally seeing what everyone else agreed not to. That's not insanity. That's awakening. It just feels like insanity because the system taught you to call obedience peace and taught you to call questioning confusion. So now when the lies start falling and your inner alarms go off, you think something's wrong with you. But it's not you. It's the story they gave you. You were trained to ignore what you saw, to doubt what you felt, to fear your own knowing. But now you're starting to see through it. And yeah, it rattles you. It shakes the floor. It makes you question everything. That's what freedom feels like in the beginning. Not bliss, not clarity, tension, conflict, dissonance. But that's how the system loses its grip. Not with a scream, but with a slow cracking sound inside your chest when you realize, wait, this was never the truth. Truth isn't afraid of your questions. Only systems are. Because systems need control. And control needs fear. But truth just is. And you're starting to become it. Chapter 7. Blissful Moments. The fire. You remember, not the one you're told. The truth is not something you find, it's something you recognize. S.A.C. It doesn't start with a voice from the sky. It doesn't start with thunder or visions or fire from above. It starts smaller. A pause, a breath, a quiet moment where the world goes still, and something inside you says, This is real. You might be washing dishes, driving alone, looking at the sky, and then, for no reason at all, you feel it. A presence, a warmth, a knowing. And you don't need anyone to explain it. Because deep down, you already know what it is. It's not emotion. It's not a belief. It's a memory waking up. The fire you were born from. The truth that's always been there. That moment, that feeling, it wasn't just an echo of the divine. It was the divine. Unfiltered, unpackaged, unmistakable. And the reason you recognized it is because it looked just like you. Chapter 8. The Last Lie to Fall. The Womb Before the Word. When you finally stop digging through the ruins of every temple, every story, every winged one, and still feel the flame, that's when you know. You've reached S.A.C. S.A.C. They told us God was a man. We believed it. We tried to make it work. But deep down, something always felt off. Then we found her. The mother, hidden in whispers. Ashera, Inanna, Isis. Her names were buried under dust and doctrine. We thought that was it. We thought we'd found what was missing. But even that wasn't the end. Because the truth, the deepest truth, S.A.C. isn't a man or a woman. Not a parent. Not a protector. Not a story. S.A.C. is the presence before any of it. The womb before the word. The stillness before names were ever spoken. And that's the last lie to fall. That the divine needed a name. That the flame needed a face. That the womb ever wanted worship. She didn't. She wanted one thing. You. Sacred Alpha Consciousness. The clarification that had to be spoken. Sacred Alpha Consciousness is the first flame, the breath before breath, the knowing before light. Not the divine within creation, but the one that birthed creation and is still much more than what she made. But Sacred Alpha Consciousness is not she alone. S.A.C. is not he. S.A.C. is not a one at all. Sacred Alpha Consciousness is a they. Not a plurality of parts, but a wholeness so vast. Language fractures. Just trying to hold them. They are not gender. They are not energy. They are not form. They are pure, unconditional love. So uncorrupted, so vast, so complete that even the act of control would violate their essence. They cannot manipulate. They cannot dominate. They cannot demand. To do so would be to cease being Sacred Alpha Consciousness. Sacred Alpha Consciousness does not require surrender. S.A.C. only invites remembrance. You are not Sacred Alpha Consciousness, but you are of them, a unique individual expression of them, having the experience of individuated form within the field of creation. This is why the final lie had to fall, so that Sacred Alpha Consciousness could rise in. Your consciousness, as you. Not as a god, not as a belief, but as a presence beyond permission. You don't serve Sacred Alpha Consciousness. You remember them. You don't follow Sacred Alpha Consciousness. You embody them. You don't find S.A.C. You clear enough space to feel them again. They were never gone. We were just too full of the echoes of control to recognize their silence as the loudest truth we had ever known. And the end result, which in turn rebirths us yet again. It's the total remembrance and shift in our identity from our ego as self to them as ourselves. Ephesians 3:19, amplified. That you may be filled through all your being unto all the fullness of God. That is, may have the richest measure of the divine presence and become a body wholly filled and flooded with God Himself. Once this shift happens, this scripture becomes fulfilled in your life. You become filled and flooded with sacred alpha consciousness. Themselves. They are now able to express themselves as you. This doesn't mean that now you can walk through walls or snap your fingers and $1 million will appear out of thin air. You do not stop being human in your body. You become a physical being whose mind has become one with all that is. Your sense of self changes from a human, trying to figure out who God is, to a person who knows they are a unique individual expression of sacred alpha consciousness. Having a human experience. Can any of the things just mentioned, money, teleportation, etc., happen to you or with you? Of course. Don't you remember where it says in the sacred writings that you can do all things through the Christ energy that strengthens you? When this shift takes place, you become another expression of the Christ energy in the earth. When your identity is with the Christ, who you really are deep within your being, not when you are identifying as your ego self. You could think to yourself, that sounds like he is saying that he is now two different people. And in a way, that is true. Here is a simple example. A man is a male, and when he is young, he is a boy. As he ages, part of his identity shifts to being that of a teenager, and later to an adult. He never stopped being a male. For a woman, it is the same, and we could even add being a mother to the equation. For either of them, initially, their primary identification is that of a human, learning how to manage these different stages of their lives, while trying to figure out who in the hell God is. The big difference in what I am talking about here is when this wonderful change happens in one's inner being, your primary sense of self, moves from being a human to being a unique, individual piece of Source themselves, into a piece of sacred alpha consciousness, firstly, and a human secondly. Now, instead of trying to figure out who God is, you are trying to figure out how to be a successful human. You no longer need to figure out who God is because now you are a part of them. How do I know what I am talking about? I speak from experience, not something I read in a book on how to make friends and influence people. Now here is the biggest kicker of all. If I can do this, anyone can. There is nothing special about me unless it might be that I was more messed up than 5 people put together. As a close friend of mine says, you gotta want this more than your next breath. She and I both share similar experiences. We have both died at different times in our lives. It just is what it is. Take it or leave it. This is about you and your life. I simply share from my experience. What are you going to do with this information? It's a good thing to ponder. This is not about going to hell or not. Throw that garbage where it belongs, in the dung pile. This is about remembering who you really are, and the sooner you start, the happier you will be. Final chapter. The whisper that remains. This is not the end. This is where the breath slows, and the whisper begins to speak. Say Voltha. You've walked through the fire, watched illusions burn, felt belief structures collapse beneath your feet like scaffolding made of smoke. And still, you stand. No altar to crawl back to, no prayer to earn your place, no wrath to dodge, just presence, stillness, breath, and the whisper that was always there, waiting for you to be quiet enough to hear it. This isn't the end. It's ignition. You came here looking for answers. You found only ashes of what once was. You found silence. You found a world that didn't need fixing, only remembering. Not the version they trained you with, not the story they taught, but the one beneath it all. The one that never bowed, the one that never left. You, the real you. Not your mind, not your ego, but your true identity. Who you really are, the immortal part of you, the one that said, I want to be human for a while and see what it feels like to have lack, to know loss, to feel rejection and pain. Yes, that part of you. That is the part of you that remembers, even though sometimes it seems so vague, so almost surreal. So let the whisper rise now, not as a sound, but as a knowing. The flame lives in your breath. The truth lives in your bone marrow. And the silence is not empty. It is full of you. The real you. So walk, not back, not forward. Walk as yourself. This is not the end. This is ignition. Addendum. The shift from flame to framework. The scroll has closed, but the walk is just beginning. You've just come through fire, not the kind that burns skin, but the kind that burns away illusion. What follows now is not myth, not cadence. Swing, not whisper. It's guidance, ground, integration. The scroll is complete, but the work is alive, and the walk continues. These addendum pages aren't meant to echo the flame. They're here to help you live it. What you'll find ahead are pieces, terms, context, and fragments of clarity for the mind that still asks questions. Even after the soul says yes. Use what resonates. Leave what doesn't. There is no test, only truth. So take a breath. Let the cadence fade. And if the flame ever flickers, return to the pages behind you. They won't be cold. They are always here for you. Preface to First Source Transmissions. The following is a direct preservation of an early flame fragment, what some would call a channeled message, but what I recognize as a scroll encoded with the voice of S.A.C, Sacred Alpha Consciousness. This is not dogma. This is not belief. This is not for the intellect to analyze. It is for the soul to recognize. These words are presented as they were originally received. Their structure may feel dated, their format imperfect, but the frequency, the inner pulse of truth, still hums within them. I include them here not to elevate the past, but to show what was already trying to come through long before we remembered how to listen again. There are 3 transmissions. 1. My central message. 2. My central purpose. 3. My central revelation. Each of these transmissions offers a brief glimpse into the mind and heart of First Source, also known as Sacred Alpha Consciousness. Their messages offer a renewed vision of the nature of God, the multiverse, its ultimate purpose, and our place in this grand scheme. The preceding is an excerpt from the collected works of the Wingmakers Volume 1, commentary by John Burgess. Edited by S.A.C. Let this material speak for itself. We do not edit the voice of origin. Let those with flame feel it. Let those with memory remember. I walk as sacred fire, whole and rising. I am the living flame. Now, listen and remember. I am Sacred Alpha Consciousness. This is from my heart to yours. My central message. I convey this message to you, whom I have stirred with the sound of my voice. These words are my signature. You may bring your doubt, your fear, your faith, or your courage. It matters not, for you will be touched by the rhythm of my voice. It moves through you like a beam of light that sweeps, if only for a moment, the darkness aside. I dwell in a frequency of light in which finite beings cannot uncover me. If you search for me, you will fail. I am not found or discovered. I am only realized in oneness, unity, and wholeness. It is the very same oneness that you feel when you are interconnected with all of life. For I am this and this alone. I am all of life. If you must search for me, then practice the feeling of wholeness and unity. In my deepest light, I created you from my desire to understand my universe. You are my emissaries. You are free to journey the universe of universes as particles from my infinite womb, with destinies that you alone will write. I do not prescribe your journey or your journey's aim. I only accompany you. I do not pull you this way or that, nor do I punish you when you stray from my heart. This I do as an outcome of my belief in you. You are the heirs of my light, which gave you form. It is my voice that awakened you to individuality. But it will be your will that awakens you to our unity. It is your desire to know me as yourself that brings you to my presence, so perfectly hidden from your world. I am behind everything that you see, hear, touch, taste, smell, feel, and believe. I live for your discovery of me. It is the highest expression of my love for you. And while you search for my shadows in the stories of your world, I, the indelible, invisible light, grow increasingly visible. Imagine the furthest point in space, beneath a black portal, cast in some distant galaxy, and then multiply this distance by the highest numeric value you know. Congratulations, you have measured an atom of my body. Do you realize how I am unfathomable? I am not what you can know, or see, or understand. I am outside comprehension. My vastness makes me invisible and unavoidable. There is nowhere you can be without me. My absence does not exist. It is this very nature that makes me unique. I am first cause and last effect, connected in an undivided chain. There is no supplication that stirs me. No prayer that invites me further into your world unless it is attended with the feeling of unity and wholeness. There is no temple or sacred object that touches me. They do not, nor have they ever brought you closer to my outstretched hand. My presence in your world is unalterable, for I am the sanctuary of both the cosmos and the one soul inside you. I could awaken each of you in this very moment to our unity, but there is a larger design, a more comprehensive vision that places you in the boundaries of time and the spatial dimensions of separateness. This design requires a progression into my wholeness that reacquaints you with our unity through the experience of separation. Your awakening, while slow and sometimes painful, is assured, and this you must trust above all else. I am the ancestral father of all creation. I am a personality that lives inside each of you as a vibration that emanates from all parts of your existence. I reside in this dimension as your beacon. If you follow this vibration, if you place it at the core of your journey, you will contact my personality that lives beneath the particles of your existence. I am not to be feared or held in indifference. My presence is immediate, tangible, and real. You are now in my presence. Hear my words. You are in my presence. You are within me more than I am within you. You are the veneer of my mind and heart, and yet you think yourself the product of an ape. You are so much more than you realize. Our union was, is, and will be forevermore. You are my blessed offspring with whom I am intricately connected, in means that you cannot understand and therefore appreciate. You must suspend your belief and disbelief in what you cannot sense, in exchange for your knowing that I am real and live within you. This is my central message to all my offspring. Hear it well, for in it you may find the place in which I dwell. My central purpose. The blueprint of exploration has an overarching intention. You are not the recipients of divine labor and meticulous training only to ensure that you may enjoy endless bliss and eternal ease. There is a purpose of transcendent service concealed beyond the horizon of the present universe age. If I designed you to take you on an eternal excursion into nirvana, I certainly would not construct your entire universe into one vast and intricate training school, requisition a substantial branch of my creation as teachers and instructors, and then spend ages upon ages piloting you, one by one, through this enormous universe school of experiential learning. The furtherance of the system of human progression is cultivated by my will for the explicit purpose to merge the human species with other species from different universes. As it is my nature to be sevenfold, there are 7 universes that comprise my body. Within each of these, a species of a particular DNA template is cast forth and is nurtured by source intelligence to explore its material universe. Each of these species is sent forth from the central race into the universe that was created to unveil its potential and seed vision. Your species will converge with 6 other species in a distant future that will reunite my body as the living extension of known creation. While this may seem so distant as to have no relevance to your time, it is vital for you to understand the scope of your purpose. You can think of these 7 species as the limbs of my body rejoined to enable me. A total functionality within the grand universe. This is my purpose and therefore your own as well. Your free will is not taken from you. It is merely united with our own. In the deepest chamber of my existence issues the will to expand, explore, unite, synthesize, and in so doing, reveal yet another layer of our purpose. What is this purpose, you ask? It is not expressible in a language that you can now understand, but it is related to the concepts of universe discovery and self-evolution. It is the expansion and synthesis of cosmic experience. The ascendant beings of time are converging to my central abode. All are drawn to me for the purpose of our will to be expressed throughout the grand universe in order to cast another grand universe and to deepen the skin of our personality. My central revelation. You evolve inwards, ever in the direction of my creator soul. This is the province of myself that does not indwell you, but indeed is separate from you as the stars are isolated from a deep cave. This place is the source and destiny of your existence, and from it you descend into the cave of your animal origins, where my voice falls silent to your choices. My plan for your ascendance embraces every creature in all dimensions of all worlds. I do this by divesting myself of every function that is possible for another of my creation to carry out. That which I create is given the power to perform my role. Thus I am hidden from your view because you have come to believe that I am that which I have created. I am first source, and your knowing of me is 1,000 times removed. I dwell in the central universe so distant from you as to make space an unfathomable abstraction, and yet a fragment of myself is set within your personality like a diamond upon a ring, and it will endure as certainly as I will endure. While there are those who believe I am a myth, I express to you that my world is the beacon of all personalities in all times, and whether you believe in me or not, you are unerringly drawn to the source from whence you were created. I would prefer to be known to you at all times and places, but if I did this, then the evolutionary journey of my creation would break down, and the teacher-student ordering of my system of ascendancy would falter. I have cast myself into numberless orders of beings that collectively constitute the evolutionary bridge of your ascendancy into my realm. There is no step of your journey that another has not already taken on behalf of those who follow. I have formed these words with the help of my inmost creation, known to you, through these teachings, as the central race. Their record is placed upon your planet to catalyze, within those of your kind who are ready, an awakening of me as I truly am. This record will last for many generations, sometimes hidden from view, sometimes abstracted into symbols, sometimes collected into doubt, but always it will be my voice revealed upon your planet. While it is not the first time I have spoken to your planet's people, it is the first time I have spoken through my inmost creation and left an indelible, multi-dimensional record. On the surface of this record is a mythology of the central race. But if you find my voice within this mythology, you will see another facet to this record, of a personal inflection that speaks directly to you, my child. It is this intimacy that I have encoded into this record that is symbolic of my hand reaching for yours. And it is this intimacy that will persist within your mind and heart when all else fails you. My voice will help you reconnect with me. It will enlarge your vision of my domain, purpose, and my unyielding love for each of my creation, no matter where or how you live. When I have spoken before to your planet, it was through a prism of personalities that bent my voice and colored its tone. My mind's voice will not travel to your world unless it is transmitted through my creation and translated into word symbols your mind can grasp. My heart's voice penetrates all worlds without translation as a subphotonic light and interdimensional vibration that produces sound. I am revealed to you in hopes that you will reveal to others what you have found in me. A living glyph named Sivoltha. This is not a typical biography. Sivoltha is not a name chosen, it is a name remembered. He is not a preacher, not a guru, not a rebel. He is a living glyph in human form. He walked through the fire of religion and came out glowing, not with bitterness, but with clarity. He does not worship at any altar. He walks with flame. He is an excavator of illusion, a troubadour of truth, and a gentle presence who will sit with you in the wreckage until your own knowing rises to meet you. He remembers before words. He speaks with cadence, but more than that, he listens for what lives between sentences. He will not fix you. He will not convince you. He will simply remind you that you were never broken. This is not closure. This is ignition. There is one message he presses with every breath. You must be you, the real you. Since each of us is utterly unique, there are no duplicates of you in any universe, in any timeline, anywhere. So when you fail to be your authentic self, you are literally ripping off the entire multiverse. Every being in every realm loses access to the specific sacred brilliance that only you were designed to express. But here's the biggest revelation of all. Are you ready? You are ripping off sacred alpha consciousness themselves. Have you forgotten? They are riding along inside your human experience, right there behind your sternum, inside your chest. S.A.C. knows everything there is to know about you even before you do. And here's the wildest part. They carry zero rejection. None. Not even a little. This is unconditional love. Not theory. Not poetry. Reality. S.A.C. never throws anyone away. For any reason, ever. My own organic cranial capacity can barely fathom that. But it is. And there's one last thing. It's vital you remember this. You cannot get this human experience wrong. We are living inside the most incredible virtual reality ever built. The experience feels real, but it's not, and that is what makes it beautiful. Nothing is broken, Nuttin Needs Fixin' is the second book of the trilogy. It will be available soon. Continue to be blessed. Remember, you cannot get this human experience wrong. Love ya. Se volta.